Imagine this, a crazy place, a ticking clock, and a man on a mission with no way out, plus a shocking twist waiting at every turn. You're about to hear a wild one. This story's got brains, thrills, and twists that'll keep you on the edge. But before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Dropping a like and a comment is the least you can do to show some love. And like we always say, even if some stories seem the same, they ain't never the same when I'm the one telling them. The movie starts in a gritty, rundown neighborhood where survival is the name of the game. People hustle and deal in substances just to get by. Eddie, our main guy, is stuck in the middle of it all, just trying to fix his delivery van so he can keep working. He offers a car mechanic some cash, but the mechanic shakes his head. It's not enough. Eddie pleads, asking if the mechanic can at least do the job with what he has, since the van's his only chance to make more money. But the mechanic just walks away, telling Eddie to come back when he has the full amount. Eddie's frustration builds. He gets a call from his daughter, but he ignores it. Then his girlfriend calls, furious for the same reason. She reminds him he was supposed to pick up their daughter after school, the same reason they broke up. Eddie, fed up, spots a wallet with a $1 bill. Without hesitation, he snatches it, hoping to get away without the mechanic noticing. But as he looks around for more to take, nothing seems to catch his eye. Desperate, Eddie calls up everyone he knows to borrow money, but they all act like he doesn't even exist. That's when he starts trying car door handles on the street, hoping for a break. One door opens, revealing a barking dog inside. Eddie hesitates, then offers the dog some water, realizing that even in a world this harsh, he might still have a shred of kindness left in him. Later, Eddie gets another call from his little daughter, who's furious at him for ghosting her again. But despite the tension, they both express their love for each other. While on the phone, Eddie spots a shiny, clean SUV parked nearby. It looks way too good for this rough part of town. Eddie figures that this car might just be his ticket to the money he needs to fix his van. Without hesitation, he checks the door. It's unlocked. He slips inside, hoping to find something valuable to sell. But after a few minutes of searching, Eddie comes up empty. Frustrated and feeling trapped, he tries to leave, but the door won't open. He sees someone walking towards the car and panics, thinking it's the owner. He ducks down, trying to hide, but the guy just walks right past. With no way out, Eddie starts punching the glass, hoping to crack it. When that doesn't work, he kicks it with all his might, but nothing. The next morning, the car finally starts on its own. A call comes in. Eddie doesn't realize there's a hidden camera inside, watching his every move. He ignores the call and looks around the car, finally finding a wrench. He swings it at the glass, but still, nothing happens. Frustrated, he tries opening the door compartment with the wrench, but as he reaches inside, a sharp pain shoots through his arm. He's bleeding. Even his phone won't work. The network's jammed. After a long, desperate wait, he finally picks up the call. A man's voice suddenly fills the car, introducing himself as William, the owner. From his voice, Eddie can tell he's probably around 70 years old. Eddie can't stop cursing under his breath, his frustration boiling over, but then, zapped, William tases him. Eddie begs him to let him go, but William insists he has something important to share. He says his car has been broken into 6 times before, and Eddie's the 7th. Eddie doesn't want to hear it and just wants out, but William's not letting that happen. He says they have to get to know each other first. Sick of everything, Eddie pulls out his gun, thinking he can finally get out of this mess. He fires at the glass, but it ricochets off and hits him straight in the leg. He yells out in pain, feeling the burn of the bullet, while William just keeps tasing him. Eddie screams for help, but no one can hear him because the car is soundproof. Then, out of nowhere, a lady walks by and notices something odd about the car. Eddie, desperate, starts yelling again, but the lady just glances at him, adjusts her makeup, and calmly walks away. Eddie's bleeding badly, the blood soaking into the seat, and he's getting weaker by the second. Desperate, he begs William to call the police, but William calmly refuses, saying the cops are too busy for someone like him. Eddie tries dialing 911, but his phone doesn't connect. His network is jammed. The old man's voice is cold, almost mocking, as he asks Eddie if he really thought he would leave his car unlocked like this. William reveals that the car is a trap, designed specifically for people like Eddie, and Eddie's taken the bait. Eddie is stunned, his mind racing as he asks what William wants from him. The man tells him it's simple. He just needs Eddie to pay attention. William explains that this car was part of a long project to capture people like Eddie, because the police only give them a slap on the wrist before letting them loose again. This trap is William's own twisted form of justice. Eddie can't hold it in anymore and curses at him, but William's quick to punish him, tasing him again. He warns Eddie that he doesn't like bad words, and each time Eddie curses, he'll face the consequences. William keeps talking to Eddie, explaining how he wants him to feel truly sorry for his actions. He goes on and on about himself, as if Eddie has time to listen, but the blood loss is too much. Eddie's vision blurs, and before he knows it, he passes out, whispering about needing water. When Eddie wakes up, it's nighttime, and the rain beats against the car. His wounds are bandaged, and he's been treated, but he's still parched. He tries to drink some water, but it's all gone. Starving and thirsty, he pulls out a bag of chips, licking the crumbs as he stares at a poster of a burger across the street, wishing for a taste of normal. The next day, Eddie sits still, taking a long drag from his vape. The car is silent until William calls again. Eddie doesn't answer, instead revealing he has full control of the car now. He doesn't need to pick up the call, but William doesn't give up. Fed up with the constant rants, Eddie curses, demanding food and water. William's response? He tases Eddie over and over. Not satisfied, he cranks the car's temperature to freezing cold and blasts the music to the loudest setting, making Eddie feel even more trapped. Hours pass, and Eddie is barely hanging on. The cold and the loud music are driving him crazy. He starts begging the old man to turn off the song, his voice trembling with desperation, but William doesn't answer. By night, Eddie is freezing, shivering in the car, when William calls again. This time, Eddie finally picks up the phone. He apologizes for the curses, and William, in return, turns off the air conditioning. Eddie lets out a deep sigh of relief. 6 days into this nightmare, Eddie's lost all sense of normal. He's forced to pee in a water bottle, stripped of his clothes for some kind of comfort. In his desperation, he starts smashing the rear of the car again, but nothing changes. The frustration builds when William calls once more, casually mentioning that Eddie must be starving by now. Then something catches Eddie's eye, a man standing on top of a tall building making phone calls. Eddie, barely holding it together, asks the old man what he'd do if he dies in this car. William's answer is cold, indifferent. He doesn't care. No one would miss you anyway, he says, leaving Eddie feeling more alone than ever. Eddie starts talking about crime, punishment, and the justice system, his voice filled with frustration. He tells William that he's street smart and that William probably had a privileged life growing up. Eddie tries to mess with one of the cameras, hoping to get some kind of advantage, but William tases him again. The two continue their deep, bitter conversation about crime and the dark side of justice. Eddie opens up, revealing something even darker. He's dying of prostate cancer. He only has about 4 months to live. In a voice full of desperation, Eddie begs William again to call the cops, but William refuses. The cops won't handle criminals like they should, he says. In just a few days, you'd be arrested and then let out. No real punishment. This, William insists, is his form of justice. He goes on to tell Eddie that in other countries, if someone is caught stealing, their arm gets chopped off. Eddie, barely holding it together, calls it a lie. But when William asks about the punishment for repeat offenders, Eddie admits their fingers would get chopped off. William, almost too calm, asks for Eddie's social security number. He promises that if it's Eddie's first crime, he'll let him go, but if it's not, he'll chop off 4 of Eddie's fingers. Eddie refuses, saying the whole system is rigged. He blames the rich, claiming the law protects them. They made it to keep people like me poor while they just keep getting richer, Eddie says, his words heavy with anger. Eddie calls William's thoughts nonsense. He reminds William that when he was growing up, he had nothing. He started from scratch, worked hard, and earned the little he has now. Eddie admits his actions were just stupid excuses. Then, he quotes a verse from the Bible, "Thou shalt not steal," and ends the conversation, turning on the same music from earlier that night. Frustrated, Eddie decides to punish William even more. He cranks up the heat in the car, making the air thick and unbearable. Thirsty and hungry, Eddie leans forward, hoping to catch a few raindrops from the roof of the car. His mind is slipping, and in a desperate act, he grabs the bottle of urine he's been holding onto for days, thinking it might save him. But as he lifts it to his lips, the terrible smell stops him cold. He quickly puts it down, too disgusted to continue. William turns off the song and tells Eddie he thought he was going to drink it. Then, with a calm voice, William asks for Eddie's social security number. In exchange, he promises to give Eddie water and turn off the heat. Eddie, defeated and thirsty, cooperates, telling William where to get the water. William agrees, lowering the temperature. After drinking the water, Eddie tries to rest, his mind spinning. He notices a few scratch cards left in his bag from the store. He scratches one, and his eyes widen in disbelief when he finds he won $500. That's enough to pay for the van repair. Eddie begs William to let him out, but William's voice is firm. "You'll never get to go home." Eddie starts begging for food, his voice shaking with desperation. He apologizes for breaking into William's car, pleading for forgiveness. William, cold as ever, tells him he doesn't feel sorry for him, but offers him some cookies instead. Eddie's eyes widen, but it's not the cookies that catch his attention. It's the open compartment near them. Seeing that William will be away from the camera for a while, Eddie quickly snaps a picture of the compartment. He studies it, figuring out how to turn off the safety switch. With shaking hands, he reaches into the hole and tries to press a button, but something goes terribly wrong. His finger comes off. Despite the sharp pain, Eddie pushes on, trying again. When William returns, his voice is low and threatening. He asks Eddie what he was doing, reminding him that he's always watching. Eddie doesn't back down, his thoughts only focused on escape. The next day, Eddie's determination grows. He uses his leg to try and reach the safety switch, all the while hallucinating about the delicious food he could eat if he were free. But his hope fades. Left with no other option, Eddie grabs the bottle of his own urine from last week, holds his nose, and forces himself to drink it all in one go, his stomach turning with each gulp. Eddie wakes up, his eyes heavy with exhaustion, and sees a man teaching his daughter how to ride a bike. It reminds him of his own daughter, and a pang of sadness hits him. Tired and drained, Eddie keeps pressing buttons on the car, not realizing he's accidentally turning the system on. When the car starts, everything seems fine at first. Eddie, desperate for freedom, drives a few miles before the car suddenly stops. William's laugh fills the car, and then he turns on the autopilot. Classical music plays softly as William takes Eddie through shady neighborhoods, making dark comments about how society is broken. He pulls up to a corner where two thugs are beating up a man. William honks the horn repeatedly to get their attention, and one of the thugs lifts his shirt, showing a gun. Without hesitation, William speeds up, running over the thug and killing him instantly. The second thug tries to run, but William chases him down, cornering him at a gate. Eddie begs him to stop, but William ignores him. He drives the car straight into the criminal, pinning him against the gate. William's cold voice cuts through the tension. There's a punishment for breaking the social contract. William keeps the car pressed hard against the gate, the engine roaring as Eddie watches in horror. Eddie, feeling desperate, admits that he understands what William is trying to prove and begs him to stop. For a brief moment, William pulls the car back, telling Eddie that if the criminal can stand up, he'll let him go. But as soon as the thug gets to his feet, William slams his head against the gate, killing him instantly. He laughs with satisfaction while Eddie cries, calling him a psychopath. That night, William drives recklessly through the city, taking sharp turns so quickly that Eddie starts begging him to stop. The madness doesn't end there. William drives the car up to a rooftop, speeding toward the edge. Eddie screams in terror as the car inches toward a leap, but William slams on the brakes at the last second. Eddie is thrown forward, hitting his head on the dashboard, and falls unconscious. The next day, Eddie wakes up to find William casually telling him that while he was asleep, he went to his girlfriend's apartment and gave her some money. Eddie pleads with William to leave his family out of this, telling him he loves them. William interrupts, coldly calling Eddie selfish, saying that he only cares about himself and doesn't care who gets hurt in the process. William reminds Eddie that he owes 2 years of child and spousal support, pointing out that he's not fit to be a dad. He then drives straight to Eddie's daughter's school. Eddie, confused and desperate, asks William why they're there, and William coldly says he wants to see if his daughter inherited his street smarts. Eddie begs him to leave, pleading that his daughter is off limits. In a panic, Eddie yells at the top of his lungs, calling out to his daughter, but she can't hear him. As the little girl begins to cross the street, William speeds toward her, nearly hitting her. The girl notices she's being followed and starts speeding away on her scooter, trying to escape the dangerous man. Eddie, helpless, continues to beg, offering to do anything so that William doesn't hurt his daughter. But William is relentless, speeding toward the little girl, just inches away from hitting her. Eddie grabs his gun and shoots himself, only to realize the gun is empty. The sudden shock makes William quickly swerve the car to avoid hitting the girl. Laughing, he reveals that he had taken the bullets out when he treated Eddie's wound earlier, and confesses that he's been enjoying every second of it. Traumatized by what just happened, Eddie finally snaps. He declares he's done and starts ripping out the cameras one by one, ignoring William's tasing as he yells for him to stop. Eddie doesn't care anymore, smashing the smart screen in frustration. A few minutes later, he sends a voice message to his daughter, pouring his heart out. He tells her how much he loves her and that things haven't been easy for him. Eddie doesn't want her to think he's a deadbeat, and he's been trying everything to make things work. He admits he's not sure if he'll survive the situation he's in right now. The car suddenly halts in a secluded spot near another vehicle. A man steps out and calls out to Eddie, introducing himself as William. Eddie rolls down the window just a little bit and immediately starts screaming for help. William, unmoved, tases him multiple times, telling him to behave. Afterward, William hands Eddie a zip tie and tells him to cuff himself to a bar below him. Once Eddie follows the order, William enters the car, offers him some gummy bears, turns off the autopilot, and starts driving the car toward the countryside. Seeing the bag behind him, Eddie realizes that William is about to kill him. William calmly explains that he's been stealing for a long time, but his luck ran out, and now he must pay for his crimes. Eddie begs once more to be taken to the police, but William just shrugs it off, saying he doesn't care and wants to take Eddie through the gates of hell himself. As Eddie's eyes wander, he notices a bracelet on William's hand with the name Emma engraved on it. He asks if it's his daughter, and William confirms that it is. Eddie also hears the familiar classical music playing and puts the pieces together. It turns out, William has been playing her favorite songs all along. Suddenly, William slams on the brakes, and Eddie's head slams into the dashboard. Eddie, unable to stop himself, laughs and calls William Daddy. This only makes William press the brakes again, causing Eddie to smash his face into the dashboard once more. Using this moment to his advantage, Eddie desperately tries to use his leg to find the car's kill switch, while William keeps ranting about how incompetent today's generation is. Eddie, with blood dripping from his face, asks William what happened to his daughter. William reveals that his daughter, Emma, died when she was still little, killed by thieves who only wanted to steal $1,500. Eddie finds it twisted that William is now playing Batman and deciding to carry out his own version of justice. He points out how messed up it is that William thinks this makes him a hero. William, angry, points a gun at Eddie and threatens to kill him right there. Eddie, in a moment of frustration, begs him to pull the trigger, calling him a sad, lonely, and angry old man. Before William can react, Eddie uses his foot to hit the kill switch, turning the car off and sending it tumbling down a hill. The sudden chaos makes William fire the gun in panic, and the bullet ricochets around the car, hitting the back. Minutes later, Eddie regains consciousness, quickly takes off the zip tie, and prepares himself before William can wake up to finish him off. Eddie starts punching William, not stopping until his face is covered in blood. At that moment, Eddie's voice note is sent, and just as luck would have it, he gets a call from his daughter. She tells him how scared she was after hearing his message and asks if he's okay. Eddie reassures her that everything is fine and tells her to wait for him after school. As the car catches on fire, Eddie assures his daughter that he'll be there soon. He grabs a hammer and starts pounding on the small cracks in the glass from the crash. After several tries, the glass finally breaks, and Eddie manages to escape just before the car is completely engulfed in flames, with William still trapped inside. Eddie makes it to the roadside, holding on to the $500 scratch card that he still has in his hand. A stranger drives by and stops to help him out. Back in the city, Eddie uses the money to repair his van so he can pick up his daughter, who's already waiting for him. However, he's told he'll need to wait a little longer for the repairs to finish. Worried that he might be late to pick up his daughter, Eddie gets an idea. He spots a little bike at the store and decides to ride it to meet her. When he arrives, he gives her a big hug and tells her that he will do anything and everything to take care of her. What would you have done if you were in Eddie's shoes, stuck in William's crazy game? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. I want to hear your thoughts.